Hello, and welcome back to another video. Today's video, it is that time of the month. Grab your drink, grab your beverage, grab a snack. It's time to yap about books and let's chat about all the books that I read in June. A little bit of stats before we get into today's video. Did I read all my TBR for the month of June? No. Unfortunately, I did not. I was very ambitious to read my whole TBR for the month of June because I originally picked out 10 books, but then I was always going to be reading 2 books that were new releases in that month as well. So I had 12 books on my TBR. Did I read all 12? Like I said, no. However, I did have a pretty good crack. I ended up reading 9 books. I did start the 10th, however, I didn't finish it on time. I finished it on the 2nd of July. So that book was Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and that won't be in today's video. That will be in next month's wrap up. The other books that I did not get to were The Women by Kristen Hanna. I was honestly tossing up whether to start this book or Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, but I don't know, something pulled me to Great Big Beautiful Life. And then the other book was This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. Now, I did not realize, like, again, I was gifted this book and I did not realize that it's kind of like one book follow the other. I knew the titles were always something about summer, or This Summer Will Be Different, or Every Summer After, or whatever they are. I did not realize that there was a book before this one, so I actually ended up putting this to the last of the order with the intentions of not actually reading it because I want to get my hands on the ones beforehand, just so that I have that typical reader experience. So this will be going over in my pile over here of series books that I need to get to but have other ones to read beforehand. So let's just get into the books that I read. If you have not been here before and watched one of my monthly wrap-up videos, I will just give you a bit of an insight. At the end of each of my ratings, I always compare my rating to the Goodreads community rating, just because I like to see where I'm kind of sitting on par with the Goodreads community as a whole. I honestly just find it so interesting to see whether I'm liking the same books that everyone is liking or vice versa, disliking books that other people are disliking, or if I'm the opposite. I do really like to do that each month. I will also quickly note there are 3 books in here that I read which I did a separate reading vlog for. By the time you watch this video, that reading vlog will actually already be out. I today will just do a very brief summary because I'm just going to point you to go and watch that reading vlog because you'll watch me read it as I go and I talk about my summary and rating and how I feel about that book in more depth in that video. So without further ado, let's just get into the books. The first book that I read for the month of June was Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. Now this book I have had on my TBR for a while and I honestly was going to be saving it for summer. If you don't know, I live in Australia, so we are currently in the middle of winter, so the season is just all wrong. This book follows Ali and Ethan. Now he's not quite truthful about who he is, however he is the little brother of her best friend. Ali is experiencing divorce. She's fallen out of love with a lot of things: motherhood, her job, herself, her husband, and she's just kind of going on this journey to rediscover herself and figure out how to do the whole single mum thing. She starts kind of throwing herself out there to just go on this date, and she eventually goes on this date with this guy. Ethan is his name and he poses as a nickname. Growing up, and to anyone who knows him, he's got this nickname. He's someone who is perceived as a different type of person, a troublemaker from his teenage formative years, but he's made this decision and he's stopped and he's turned his life around, and it's just so nice to see. I ended up giving this book a 4. Goodreads community rates this a 4.03, so very on par. I did just want to stop quickly. Another little insight for the month: 2 5-star reads. Just saying. The next book that I read was A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the novella, book number 4 in the ACOTAR series. I enjoyed this book. It's quite little. I don't really tend to rate novellas overly high just because I feel like there's not much to judge them off. Like, look at this size. I think it was 200 and something pages. 229 pages, so very short. The one thing that I did like about this, everyone knows that I didn't love A Court of Wings and Ruin, the 3rd book. That was probably my least favorite book so far of the series. I feel like this book was honestly a bit all over the shop. I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Where are we up to? The thing that I love, because I have craved it in previous books, is everyone else's point of views. I've always wanted to see what Cassian's thinking, what Nesta's thinking, what Rhysand's Van's thinking, what Moore's thinking, what Asriel's thinking. And in this one, we get it. It's not just all from Farah's point of view. So that was one thing I really did like. 2.5 stars. I rated it quite low because of the length, and I did feel like it was a bit all over the shop. The Goodreads community rated it a 3.72. The next book that I went on to is Crimson River by Devney Perry. This is the 5th book in the Edens series. This book follows Lila and Vance. Lila is the coffee shop owner of the family. Vance is like a private investigator type person. He was a policeman, but all this stuff's happened. This one very much brought back the same vibes as Indigo Ridge, the first book. It's definitely technically murder mystery. I just found this book so interesting to see how they kind of cross paths. So Vance comes in trying to find this guy. This guy actually attacked Lila, strangled her, let her live and run off. This guy that attacked her is on the run, and he has actually killed his family. I'm doing that because you see more if you've read it. I will admit this has probably been my least favorite book of the series so far. I just didn't really love the main male character. However, I do love this series as a whole. It is cowboy romance with a side of suspense, mystery cowboy romance. Let's just say that. I am so sad that it is going to end in July because I have the final book, Sable Peak, which is Mateo's book, on my TBR for the month of July, and I will be reading it. Overall, I gave this book a 3.75. Goodreads rates it a 4.14. Moving on to the first book that is in my reading vlog. Like I was talking about, I am not going to be going too in depth with these ones. I'm just going to be giving a quick overview and rating for these ones. But the first book in my reading vlog, Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone. I have never read a book by Cara Bastone before. I have said it a million times before. I really want to get my hands on, Ready or Not, a physical copy, but every time I go to get it, it is sold out. This came out, it was a newer release a couple of months ago, and as soon as it came out I was like, I have to grab it because I feel like I need to read something by this author. She is calling me, and I am so glad I did because this book and her writing just draw me in, and she is another author that I am adding to the list. So I really need to get my hands on Ready or Not. This book follows Lenny and Miles, and it follows a journey of grief. They honestly trauma bond, and it is just so special to watch. Like I said, I'm not going to say too much. Go and watch my reading vlog. I rated this book a 4 and Goodreads rates it a 4.17. The next book, I would love to yap about this book in this series all day, but this was also in my reading vlog, so I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record. Go and watch my reading vlog for a more in-depth explanation and reading experience. Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford, 5th and final book in the Windy City series. This series is a 5-star series for me. I absolutely love it. I have my top tier series, which is the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, and I am very glad to say that the Windy City series by Liz Tomford is now up there, equal tied with top spot favorite series. This book is the conclusion of the series, and we finally get Rio's story. It did not disappoint. It honestly did not disappoint. I love the found family. I cried when this was over because I never wanted this world to end, and I am so sad that I no longer will be reading any of this series for the first time. That's all I'm gonna say. Get your hands on this series. Everyone shames Mile High, the first book, and I honestly don't know. Like, there's 5 books in this series. My lowest rating out of them is a 4.5, so that's really freaking good. I have 3 5-stars in there, 1 4.75 and 1 4.5. This book, 5 stars. Absolutely no brainer. So yeah, obviously I rated this 5 stars. The Goodreads community rating as a whole, 4.52, so everyone loved it as well, which I'm so happy about. Moving on, we have got King of Pride by Anna Huang. This is the 2nd book in the Kings of Sin series. Kai and Isabella, and I really did love their story. We obviously meet Kai in the first book with his relationship with Dante. I did not imagine that he would have all this societal pressure on him to live up to his family name. This series in itself, from the first 2 books, billionaire romance. I technically really don't love billionaire romance trope. However, these books always have like an ulterior motive, kind of like the Eden series, but there's always something going on underground and it just keeps pulling me in. These families both come from money. Kai is kind of born into his status, whereas Isabel, her family have kind of hidden it. No one actually technically really knows, but she is very well off. However, she chooses to steer away away from that. She has this trust fund and all this money and that sort of stuff. She is a writer and she's been promised, you know, by the time she turns 30, she can have a trust fund if she proves that she's doing something that she loves and can sustain a constant career, because that's what all her other siblings are doing. But she's just kind of like the black sheep of the family, tries to not use her name, go against the grain, and ends up finding her way eventually, but obviously with the help of Kai. And he brings so much out of her, this confidence. I just didn't feel like the love story was very convincing. I felt like it was very forced in a way in this one, and for that reason I gave this book a 3.75 stars, and the Goodreads community rating was 3.92. Moving on to book number 7, Spiral by Bal Cabra. I honestly really wish that I did a reread of Collide, the first book of this series, before I picked this one up, because I just read it so long ago and I honestly forgot the characters and their names. I honestly did not even remember Elias, the main male character in this book. I think it's Westy or Eli, what do they call him? I can't remember, but he has a nickname in the first book, and I just didn't until about halfway through tie it together that this was the character from the first book. So I really wish that I did a bit of a reread beforehand, but this is about Elias. He has been newly drafted to the Toronto Thunder hockey team, ice hockey team. He is feeling the pressures. He has the media onto him. They've pinned him out to be like this massive playboy, constantly picturing him and writing stories about him, which the club in itself has encouraged for him to do and created this image about him. However, he is the complete opposite of that. He is not interested in that sort of stuff at all. All of this outside noise is now going into his performance from his ice hockey career. He was recruited based on his scoring efforts, and he goes so many games where he doesn't actually score. There's all these things that kind of come into play, and then insert Sage. She is actually the team owner. I don't think he's the coach. Team owner, manager, something. I don't know. I feel like he's not the coach, but it's her uncle. She wants to go out on her own and try and prove herself. She is an aspiring ballerina, so she's kind of going through the things as well, and one of the things that she wants to do is get into this academy as a prestigious ballerina to be able to do all these shows. However, they are very, what's the word? Let's just say picky in regards to who they have. Like, you have to have a certain name or a certain amount of followers. They don't give the time of day to these nobodies, as you call it. So Sage and Elias end up kind of coming into this fake dating profile, because Elias is like, I want to get the media off my back. I want to portray that I'm in this happy, stable, healthy relationship, and all this player image can just go. And then he's obviously this very famous person. Sage dating him gets her social media status up. This is a story about that, and then eventually, obviously, you can guess what happens. The fake dating turns real romance. I really enjoyed this. It was a nice, quick read. I just felt giddy at some times, and however, like I said, I do wish that I did a reread of Collide first, because it was so long ago. Spiral, I rated 4 stars, and the Goodreads community rating was 3.82. So very similar vibes. The next book I read was something that I have been wanting to get to for a while, but I have just never been getting prompts that align with this one. The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. Now, I know that in America and other places this is called The Heartless Hunter, I'm gonna say. Here, it's called Crimson Moth. I don't know why a book would have separate names, but anyway, how confusing. This book is about Rune. She lives in this world where this revolution of being a witch is like you're plagued. Witches are shunned from society. If anyone finds out that there is a witch living amongst them, they can be incarcerated for associating with witches or hiding witches and that sort of stuff as well. Rune is a witch. However, she doesn't display the normal signs to be depicted as one. For example, a tell of a witch is casting scars. She doesn't have them. Obviously, menstrual cycles come along. Obviously, we know the color of a normal menstrual cycle. However, witches, it's pure black. And that's when she first realized that she is a witch, because she doesn't come from a history of witches. So Rune actually ends up disguising herself to be just a normal member of society, this dumb, rich lady dressed, loves her party, loves attention, loves gossip, wearing the finest clothes. That's who she depicts herself with in society. But by night time, she's in her leathers. She's out there hunting and trying to save witches from being caught, rescue them and send them away. There is this revolution where there are guards and they hunt them and kill them, and quite a public display actually the way that they do it. They hang them by their feet out in the open for everyone to see, and then they, very brutal, very, very brutal. Main male character in this book is Gideon. He is obviously one of the guards, hunt the witches. So Rune and Gideon, their love for each other is kind of sabotaged from the start. It's just quite interesting to see this dynamic because there is also a bit of a love triangle with Alex, Gideon's younger brother, and Rune's best friend, and he has known that she is a witch since that bleeding happened. I just found this book really, really interesting. It was such an easy read, quite easy to follow as well. Like I really binged this. I think I finished this in like 2 days, and I am quite nervous to see, based on the ending, I'm not going to give anything away, where the next book is going to go. In one heart, I'm really hoping Gideon and Rune reunite and that their romance blossoms, but at the same time I honestly feel like it is doomed, especially now that everyone knows that Rune is a witch. So I'm very interested to see where that second book is going to go. I rated this book a 4 stars and Goodreads rates it a 4.18. Now up to the final book of the month that I read. This is the 3rd book that is in my reading vlog that I have just uploaded. You should go and watch that because I'm not going to go into it too much. I have so much to say about this book, but it was all said in that vlog, so please go and watch that for my real and honest reaction of Releasing 10 by Chloe Walsh. You may already guess it because I said I've had 2 5-star reads in this month and I've only given you 1. This is the other. Lizzie and Hugh. This is their story. She is always pegged out to be the bad girl in other books. You're kind of drawn to not like her, but she has so much under the surface. My camera is flashing for me, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up quickly. Hugh is just golden retriever, the best, just everything to Lizzie. This book honestly broke my heart, ripped it to pieces, put it back together, ripped it to pieces. I felt proud, I felt sad, I cried, I felt angry. I just felt everything. So all of that honestly leads to a 5-star rating. Goodreads also rates it a 4.58. That's all I'm gonna say on this book. Go and watch my vlog. That is a wrap up for June. This is what I have read. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like my video, subscribe to my channel, or comment. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these books and what you thought as well. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I will see you very, very soon in my next video. I have lots coming. Bye.